Hey, welcome. Thank you for your patience. We are revisiting the Mania, a Wrestlemania Rewatch podcast. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Maria. So dust off your wrestling belts and join us while we break down WrestleMania 35.
Yeah, we're rewatching WrestleMania 35. Me, as a longtime fan who's watched them all since WrestleMania 1. And my wife, this is her first time watching this
I'm
particular.
I'm your resident mark in training. I'm here to help break down every match with Carlos. And we're going to give you recaps and I'm going to give you some jokes. Maybe not so funny, maybe terrible, maybe so bad that they'd make Bobby Heenan Grove. Ooh, grown. So let's dive in.
All right, so this is a WrestleMania that took place at MetLife Stadium. This is located in between New York and New Jersey.
Yes.
Right, and this event happened on April 2019.
So, for those that are new, this is WWE's flagship event. Like Carlos said, April 7th, 2019, it took place at MetLife Stadium. Did Hulk Hogan say MetLife?
I believe he said the MetLife Center, and you figure I pulled this up for us that when Alexa Bliss introduces him, because she says that she can make a WrestleMania moment happen at any point in time, that Hulk Hogan would just look up and see that it says MetLife Stadium. But unfortunately, Hulk Hogan, like everything else he does, fails to come up and read the name of the stadium. So we get the MetLife Center.
MetLife Center. Okay, so MetLife Stadium, we're in East Rutherford, New Jersey. This event drew over 80,000 people. Last stats that we have are 82,265 fans, making it one of the most attended WrestleManias in history. Although I feel like every WrestleMania is the most attended in history, but those are the numbers that we have. The show was very successful. There was at least over $16.9 million in ticket revenue alone.
Really?
And they sold out in a matter of minutes. So the event actually contributed locally as well. Over $165 million was the economic impact to New York and the New Jersey area. So, say la vie.
It also contributed to a lot of headaches because this event went very long. It finished, I believe, a little bit past midnight local time.
Was it over 7 hours?
Yes, not including the 4 non-televised dark matches. But then you also have this long run time. Like I mentioned, they're already going past midnight local on the East Coast.
Right.
And nobody thought to inform the local transit authority,
CTA, or what is it over there? The
whatever, the New York, New Jersey Metro Rail.
JTA.
I don't think it's JTA.
Well, if you live out there, out there.
If you were there and you were one of the many 30,000, 50,000, I forget what the number is, that was stranded, that was unable to get public transportation, that was unable to book an Uber or Lyft to get back to wherever you were staying.
Or if you are one of our friends from Four Sides of the Ring, a fellow wrestling podcast, then let us know.
Yeah, what the local New Jersey transit system is.
We'd like to know.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this because this event is historical for many reasons.
Yeah.
It's the first ever women's main event where we have Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and a winner takes all triple threat match to claim both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships.
We have Kurt Angle's farewell match. And we have
Batista.
KofiMania.
Oh, KofiMania.
And if you want to talk about Batista and his match with Triple H, we can go ahead and talk about that as well. I mean, we will be talking about it, but if you want to talk about it further and what you didn't like and what we didn't like about it, we'll dive into that.
Yeah.
So
if you still own a VHS copy of WrestleMania 3, gather around.
3?
Well, I'm just saying, if they're a longtime fan of
Oh,
wrestling and WrestleMania, if you own VHS tapes, then stick around. You're in for a ride.
yeah. I'm in for a ride too because I didn't even know what WrestleMania 3 was doing. Right?
In WrestleMania 35,
Yeah,
you
so
didn't even know you'd have that
I didn't
throwback in
expect
there.
that connection. I mean, Hulk Hogan did mention the Pontiac Silverdome, so good callback on that one. Look
You're
at you doing research.
you're welcome. Dust off your wrestling belts. We're about to dive into this.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you guys then also is the setup because I love these outdoor setups. This is very similar to the outdoor setup that we got to see on WrestleMania 40
Yes.
that we attended in here, except for the stage where it says WrestleMania. If you see back there, it's a little bit smaller than the one that we had in Philadelphia. So, first match, right?
Yeah. So we have a Universal Championship: Seth Rollins versus Brock
Barack
Lesnar.
Lesnar.
Do you have the time on that?
Do not have the time on that, but we can go ahead and
look it up.
But go ahead.
Well, we have Seth Rollins, who's 6'1", versus Brock Lesnar at 6'3". Seth is about 217 and Brock is about 286. So Seth the Architect Rollins, the man who looks like he shops at a Hot Topic and fights like he's in a John Wick movie, took on Brock Lesnar, the Human Wrecking Ball, who's part-time WWE superstar, full-time farmer.
Yeah. So the runtime of this event of the match is 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Along 2 minutes.
Yes, but it has like a little bit of a skirmish before, and we'll get into that here. So we have Paul Heyman after Hulk Hogan fails in naming the MetLife Stadium. Paul Heyman rushes out there, and he is saying that his client, if he cannot main event this WrestleMania, his client demands to be the first match in this WrestleMania card.
I feel like Hulk Hogan's been taking all the strays for 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, so once this happens, these guys start coming out, and once Brock Lesnar comes out, he's just tossing Seth Rollins around.
So like you said, this match is shorter than my attention span. So we see Seth win with a low blow and 3 stomps, proving that even the Beast Incarnate can be taken down by a well-placed kick to the junk.
And multiple stomps, as you said. It took about 3 stomps to take out Seth, for Seth to take out Brock Lesnar. Now, how did this work out for you? Because Seth Rollins wins the Royal Rumble. You have that Seth Rollins could have faced Daniel Bryan, and he could have faced, obviously, he chose Brock Lesnar. Do you feel like that was a good thing for him, like, to go? Because Brock Lesnar, you know, now we have Seth Rollins. He was the architect of the Shield.
Right.
He brought down the Shield.
Right.
2 years ago, he was in WrestleMania. He was the Kingslayer because he took down Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's the Beast Slayer.
The Beast Slayer?
Because Brock Lesnar is the Beast
Incarnate.
So, what did you think about that? Did you like this match? Do
I love it? Do I like it? Well, I thought this match was the equivalent of heating up a Hot Pocket, quick, messy, and over before you can process it. But for a WrestleMania, I enjoy Seth Rollins, who's doing really well in WWE today. I like this match. It was a good kickoff, nice and short. 2, main characters. And for a kickoff of WrestleMania, I thought this was fine. I would say revisit.
You would want to revisit? You would recommend any fan
or Mark in Training to revisit this?
Okay.
Yep.
And why do you feel like they should revisit it?
I thought it was short, and I thought it was spicy, and I thought it was a quick match to get things started. A nice warm up for the main events that were coming up for WrestleMania 35.
Okay. I see your points. Now, as for me, as a longtime fan who's watched many of these pay-per-views, I recommend. What I liked about it is that they try to build Seth Rollins as an underdog. He had to come from behind, and he had to use a couple of cheap shots in order for him to come here. There was lots of Brock Lesnar dominating with his German suplexes, and we may get a shout out about being at Suplex City, BITCH. And then, once that low blow happened, the finish happened fast. And I know if I was one of those many, was it 85,000 fans that were in attendance, and I had already been there for about
82,265.
okay. If I was one of those fans and I had just seen Tony Nese and Buddy Murphy in a cruiserweight and a 17 women battle royal, a tag team championship match, and a 30-man
You can't
battle
forget
royal.
about the 30-man Andre the Giant Memorial.
Right. And I would have been happy to at least see give this match would definitely have given me like a little pop up, a little shot of adrenaline. And I don't know what it is, but people love Seth Rollins winning.
Yeah.
So
I like
yeah,
him winning.
as a newer fan, I would if I'm recommending this match, if someone's like, "Hey, I want to watch WrestleMania 35, what do you recommend?" I'll be like, "Yeah, watch the first match." If you're a newer fan, if you're like an older seasoned veteran and you're looking to see, well, I got time to kill, and should I watch this match on WrestleMania 35? I could say you can skip it. But if you're having like lunch and you're like, hey, what can I watch real quickly? I want to see Brock Lesnar because I keep getting rumors that he might be coming back. So let's see what that beast can do. Yeah, feel free to do so. But
nice take.
With that, we move on to match number 2 on the
AJ
card.
Styles versus Randy Orton, the Legend Killer.
Right, 2 veterans of wrestling here. And this match goes for 16 minutes and 20 seconds.
May I also say that there is another legend in the ring with Randy Orton, the Legend Killer?
Ooh.
It's his hair, AJ Styles. His hair looks amazing during this match.
AJ Styles' hair is a legendary. Yeah, got it.
So AJ is 5'11", the phenomenal one, and he is phenomenal. But surprise, there's also another phenomenal person in this room with us.
Who?
Me.
Oh.
I'm so Randy Orton is 6'5", about 250 at this time. And I really enjoyed this match. I thought AJ really brought it. What did you think about this?
Okay, what did you like about it? What like
his wrestling style? I'm a fan of
AJ Styles wrestling.
Yeah.
AJ, okay,
awesome. He was flying around. He was up and around. He was all about. Mm-hmm. I'm a really big fan of this match. I thought they did really well as a pair together, and I really liked it.
Okay. As for my take, like I understand where you're coming from. Like, seeing AJ Styles' particular style of wrestling, he's a very well-rounded wrestler. He could do the technical spots, he can do the acrobatic spots, and he could do a couple of power moves. So I could see how you're like digging it. And mostly Randy Orton's moves are just like power based, I guess you could say. And these 2 guys have been veterans already. Randy's already been here. This is 2019, so he's already been here for about. He's technically been wrestling for 20 years, but inside the WWE ring, I believe it's only been like 18. And AJ Styles has been wrestling for around the same amount of time, if not a little bit longer, from his times over in New Japan and TNA wrestling. So forth.
I mean, I would say that some veterans would think that maybe an HBK or like a Bret Hart match is superior to this match, but I thought it was pretty decent. It's a solid match. And for the second televised match of WrestleMania 35, my recommendation is that you revisit if you enjoy watching 2 professionals do their thing without any shenanigans. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, like you said, this is a solid match. It had some good spots. We had Randy Orton being the aggressor and stomping away on here. And this is just a little bit of taste of AJ Styles' acrobatic ability.
Look at that.
You have that. He also does the Pele kick, and then he does the phenomenal forearm splash here onto the turnbuckle.
Impressive.
It's also very impressive. And you figure that these guys would have like a better match for this. Like you mentioned, this is a solid match. It has some good spots where, and some heel tactics that we get from Randy Orton. And Randy Orton is like the heel if we're putting baby faces and heels into the psychology of it here. And he does a thumb to the eye. He did like that stomping routine that I mentioned for. We get all the key, like, marquee moves from these guys. We get the RKO, obviously the 450 splash from AJ Styles. We get the draping rope DDT that we always get. Like, they hit all their moves and everything that would make a fan be excited. When you're a fan like you,
are you wishing for a little bit extra?
yeah, it's like maybe if it wasn't as long, like I think if they cut like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, it might have hit a little bit longer. It didn't need to have that room to breathe to extend it out. Like, you want your WrestleMania moment, but you also need to know when to cut off your WrestleMania moment.
True. Okay.
So for me, as recommending this to a newer fan, I would not recommend it.
Ooh.
Because there's other matches that Randy Orton and AJ Styles have, not together, but I'm just saying, like, at a WrestleMania, they're a little bit more memorable than the one that we're seeing here.
Okay.
So I say that whether you're a fan or older fan or a veteran,
you
like
say pass.
I say pass, yes.
Okay.
And with this,
you say nay and I say hey.
Yeah, with next we
hey.
The next match we have here, which I forgot to change the Chiron, so we'll do it this time, is the Fatal 4-Way match for the Tag Team Championship, the SmackDown ones. This one has the tag team of The Bar continuing their third WrestleMania as a tag team on the card, with Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura, and the newer team making their WrestleMania debut, Aleister Black, who is leaving AEW wrestling, but he was known as Malachi Black over there.
Oh, really? Where is he going to?
There's rumors that he might be coming back to the WWE.
Really?
Yeah, as his wife is currently working inside of the company. And we have Ricochet. He was in WWE, and no, Ricochet is engaged to the former announcer Samantha Irvin, but they're not married yet, and she's also left the company.
Yeah.
But now he is in AEW, so we'll take it here. And this
match. Talk about the Usos.
Oh yeah, and then the Usos. I can't forget about them.
We're lightning hot right now.
They're still dominating the tag team division.
2025.
Whether it's in 2025 or 2019. So they're still doing some hot stuff out there. And this match goes for 10 minutes and 10 seconds.
So they have a combined weight, the Usos, those twins, of 478 pounds.
Do you think it's evenly split, or do you feel like one is heavier than the other?
Probably one is heavier than the other one. So I thought this was, I'm a fan. I really enjoyed this WrestleMania 35. I don't know what it is. This has to be like one of my favorite WrestleManias, just because there was just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I really enjoyed watching the Usos wrestle as a tag team. I thought they did great. They had that, twin magic. Rusev, I think he's cool, but I'm more a fan of the Usos all day. So I enjoyed this match. I'd actually say watch it so you can see the trajectory of the Usos from that point as they're moving towards Yeet or no Yeet, now. I thought it was pretty cool. I had a good time watching it.
Okay. So with this one, I like that it's a fast-paced match. And you got to see all of the tag teams highlighted here. Everyone had their moment. But to me, there was no other bigger moment than this one in particular, where Cesaro is taking Ricochet for a ride. Oh, yeah. And Sheamus is just over there giving beats of the battery to everyone who is wanting to come up to the apron and take them. So that was a cool spot. And one of them, they had this other thing. I don't remember if you remember. I didn't get a picture of it. But they're all in the corner. And then they think the move is called the Tower of Doom.
Yeah.
And they all like
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
they all get either back body dropped or suplexed over, and Ricochet rolls out of it. In the end, you mentioned that the Usos and their tag team, there's them doing their double kick, and then they eventually do their Uso splash, because I know that they normally start doing the 1D, which is kind of like
their finishing move.
Their finisher move, kind of like reminiscent or callback to the Dudley Boys 3D.
Right.
But at this point, they're still doing the splash. They end up splashing and coming down and getting the pin and the win. So with this one, I like that it's like a little bit of like fun to see all the spots. It was a little bit chaotic for a little bit, but I feel like now, as far as like the other match where I said that you could have trimmed it like 3 or 4 minutes, these guys probably could have had like a little. If you would trim that one, the AJ and Art and Randy,
right,
and give them the time remaining, I think this would have had one more. If they could have like a couple of more spots or sequences, this match probably would have stood out a little bit more, and I'd be able to recommend it for that particular one. But as far as this, like they has some memorable spots. If you want to see something, as far as how to book and how to highlight, if you're a fan looking into deeper and fantasy booking, or if you're someone that's out there, that's probably be the only reason I would recommend someone to watch it. But as far as like a casual person, a newer fan, or someone who's like, I'm bored, what do I watch? No, I recommend that you would skip it.
I'd say if you'd like to watch a spot fest, watch this one. There's a bunch of cool spots in this match. So I say revisit. Carlos says ditch it.
Yeah. All right.
And with that takes us to match numero 4.
But
number
before
4.
we move on to match number 4, we have the 2019 WWE Hall of Fame inductions. And with this one, we kick it off here with your favorite for the early WrestleMania events, Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yeah, I like the shenanigans.
Okay, so you approve of this one. And then we had someone representing the Warrior Award, Sue Aitchison, who was the...
I think she was the creator of the...
No, I think she was the liaison of the Make-A-Wish. Like, she made that connection for WWE to start doing the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Wow. Like, people want to meet you and things like that. So how about we make that happen? And then we had Tori Wilson here, a diva who was formerly with the WCW, who made that transition over. And as she mentioned in her Hall of Fame speech, had a lot of to do with a lot of fans' puberty.
That was funny.
Yeah. And we had the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man. One of your
favorites, right?
He was one of my favorites, not because he looked like Elvis. And he was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion until Gunther ended up taking over that distinguishing mark at 666 days. The Honky Tonk Man was for 490 days, I believe. Ooh. Yeah, and we had Harlem Heat, Booker T, and Stevie Ray. This was a tag team from primarily WCW. Mm-hmm. They were a pretty good tag team. I was a fan of them, but do I feel that they deserve a Hall of Fame spot? They do have some moments where they do, but let's go ahead and give it to them.
I have to watch some other matches. Mm-hmm. I don't think I have watched any other matches.
Yeah, if you are watching,
I feel like I'm more familiar with Booker T.
Yeah. And you have if you are a fan of Harlem Heat and have any match recommendations for Maria, please drop a comment, send an email. Do not hesitate to give us any more content that you enjoyed or that you want us to watch, so you can enjoy hearing Maria's take.
Or you'd like to listen to us.
Yeah. Also, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching us.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe if you have not done so already. And the next one we move on to is the Heart Foundation. This is a it's a post induction for the Ambo Neidhart. as he has already passed away. Bret Hart is there, and Natty's there to induct her father into the WWE Hall of Fame as the tag team, the Hart Foundation.
Oh, he looks like a sweetheart.
Yeah, and Bret, actually ends up getting attacked
By
during
a
the Hall
random
of Fame
fan,
by a
right?
random fan. If Bret Hart wasn't having enough hard time already with strokes and everything, he had to fight somebody off at an induction. And then last but not least, the main event inductees, D-Generation X. And with this one, we also had China getting, and this is probably going to be the only way China gets into a WWE Hall of Fame induction, unless TKO Sports or somebody
I would.
manages to take away like their stringent views on China needing to do what she needs to do to continue making some type of money.
Wow. Well, interesting.
Yeah, what did you think about that class? You got to see mostly all of these people, huh?
Yeah, wrestling. I thought it was a pretty decent class. Like no additional comments. I wish China, was maybe awarded on her own. She was an excellent wrestler, and groundbreaking. Also, she took a lot of heat. So you were one of the people that gave her a lot of heat. So worst, be nice, be kind. But with that takes us to match number 4, Falls Count Anywhere. The Miz versus Shane McMahon.
Right. And that match goes for 15 minutes and 30 seconds.
So what did you think about this match?
I thought it was actually good. Like, you normally hear me complain. If you've watched our videos or watched anything that might have had like a false count anywhere, a street match, like no holds barred match, things like that, they always stay near the ring. And these guys actually just did not keep it inside of the ring. This is a rivalry that, by now, if memory serves me correct, and I should have done a research and I just ran out of time. Shane wins this competition. He wins a trophy saying he's the best in the world. They have a tournament. This is when they started doing the Saudi shows. Vince got like $1 billion to do shows in Saudi Arabia twice a year. So they had a contest over there, and Shane wins the contest to be the best in the world. So that's why if you didn't notice and you didn't have any contacts, when you're like, why is Shane berating this ring announcer and telling him to call him the best in the world? That is why. Because he won the trophy and he feels like he should be acknowledged as being the best in the world. So with this, then the Miz is talking about how his father's life dream is for him to be a tag team with him and for them to win a tag team titles. So
for him to be a tag team with who?
With Shane. Miz is going and telling Shane, and then he finally convinces Shane. And they win the tag team titles. But one thing I didn't like about this is I feel like maybe Shane should have been the face. Like he's been like primarily the whole babyface run since he came back.
Okay.
Like when he faced The Undertaker, and when he faced AJ Styles, when he faced who did he face to? Kevin Owens. So it should have continued that little run. Miz I feel does his best work as a heel.
Okay.
So I should have felt like it, especially since the dad gets involved here. We'll break into that. So we have, Shane McMahon starting out fast, but eventually, when he's about to do that sleep that Shane has been doing for the past few WrestleManias,
right?
His father, the Miz's father, gets in there and he's like, "Please don't do your elbow drop to my son from the turnbuckle all the way to this announcer's table." And then Miz's dad decides to start standing up for his son to Shane McMahon, and Shane has to pretty much help him in how to hold his hands up. This eventually gets the ire of the Miz. The Miz starts coming back, and this is when they start taking it away from the ring, which I enjoyed. And then they ended up having this finish where the Miz gets a suplex Shane off of this scaffolding, and the way they end up landing is where Shane ends up landing on top of the Miz. 1, 2, 3, pinning the win, and the Miz loses to Shane McMahon, who continues to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
So I thought it was like a very entertaining brawl. It's a good use of Falls Count Anywhere. If you, as a newer fan, wanted to see a match at a WrestleMania, there's been many matches that have been like Falls Count Anywhere, No Holds Barred, things like that. The one I can think of that's a Falls Count Anywhere, like for some reason is sticking out to me, is when Macho Man had faced Crush. And that match, it's a Falls Count Anywhere, and it ends up going behind like into the locker room, but it ends because Macho Man ends up hog tying Crush. You remember that one?
I think so.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like this one actually had an end, and it was, besides like the weapons used, the TV monitor, a chair, the Shane being hit, and then he takes the spill over the guardrail on top of a golf cart, and then he falls on the floor. Like Shane, as much as like people may not be a fan of Shane,
I enjoy watching him wrestle.
Shane,
He's
like
very charismatic.
he does not shy away from taking the bumps,
No, he
taking the
doesn't.
high spots, and that's why I feel like this is a very entertaining match, and I would feel like I would recommend it. Like, besides, I feel like like it probably would have worked better the other way. If you're a newer fan and want to watch what Falls Count Anywhere match should be, or how it should like give you some type of payoff, I definitely recommend this one.
Right. Yep. We have The Miz, who's like an A-lister in wrestling. Shane McMahon, like you said, who's been jumping off of things and taking bumps since the Attitude Era. And I would say watch this. Definitely revisit. It was a recommended match for me. I would say revisit if you're a new mark in training or you're a seasoned veteran of wrestling. For WrestleMania 35, it just made part of, like I said, this is one of my favorite WrestleManias because I had just a little bit of everything. We had 2 retirements. We were welcoming people back, which we'll get to later in this episode. And it was wild. It was just a really good match. Shane pulled it off. He did it again with those high flying stunts. So, yep, watch it.
Okay. And with that one, it takes us to match number 6 in the card.
Yeah, what do you think about this match? Because this is the Women's Tag Team Championship. Bayley, Sasha Banks versus Beth Phoenix, and Natalya versus Nia Jax, and Tamina versus the Iconics.
Yeah, so this match goes for 10 minutes and 45 seconds, right?
Right.
So you asked me what I think about this match.
Yes.
So I've always been pro the women getting the tag team championship.
Okay.
So the belt came around I think February of 2019. So the belts are fresh. They're like freshly printed. They've just been made. But Boston Hug Connection, Sasha and Bayley were the first inaugural champions of the women's tag team championship belts.
We get a little time away from the kids and we don't know how to act.
Right. We don't know how to speak either. But, the match was at this point in time, even though you have kind of like a mismatch or mixed bag of people thrown in together, like Nia and Tamina.
Yeah.
Like they're part of the bloodline. They're part of the Samoa Anoa'i family, but they don't have a tag team moniker name. They don't have a Boston Hug. They're not the Iconics. They don't have anything like that. So they're good and they're thrown in together. But this was primarily, I think, based thrown together. 2 of these teams.
Mentioned Tamina's father is
Jimmy Superfly Snuka, rest in peace. Even though he did have some questionable things that he did along the way in his life, I still do not wish ill on him as he's passed. But we also have Natty and Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix coming out of retirement to help Natalya, one Canadian helping out a fellow Canadian. And they actually do one of the Heart Foundation moves, the heart attack.
Natty, I'm a
here.
big fan of you. I have been for a
Yeah.
long time.
So with this one, what did you think here? So we get, are you as a woman happy to see that the women are getting more
I am.
type of opportunities to
Also, we
get out
have
there?
really excellent wrestlers here. Bailey and Sasha are no slouch. Beth Phoenix,
Hall of Famer.
Natalia,
Yeah.
Nia Jax, Tamina. You're more familiar with the Iconics, with their wrestling. But I was a fan. I'm a fan of most of these ladies here, with the exception of the Iconics, and that's only because I haven't really seen them wrestle. So I thought everyone looked great. I thought the wrestling was good. And this four-way tag match to crown the first ever women's tag team champions for this WrestleMania 35 again was part of that whole thing where there was just a little bit of this and that, and why I like this WrestleMania 35 so much. Was it worth revisiting for me? Yes. The Iconics were over the top when they won. And I enjoy watching tag teams. If you've watched this before, you know that I enjoy seeing a good tag team. And you have quality wrestlers here, so you can't beat that.
Right. Now you mentioned that I am more familiar with the Iconics. The Iconics have, the reason for that is because they were presented mostly in NXT.
Okay.
So it's like when you watch your favorite indie band progressing through the stages.
Mhm.
And that's how I felt. Like I felt like these ladies had something. You have Billie Kay, who's primarily like the little goofy one.
Right.
So she's more into making the jokes type of thing. And Peyton Royce is like maybe like kind of like the diva-ish, but it has that bravado type of thing. So they balance each other out. So with this, we get a slow start to the match, but we get the tag teams all on the same page, knowing that they had to take out Nia and Tamina to have a chance, especially Nia.
Right.
And then it feels like it kind of starts picking up towards the middle of the match, a few minutes after this, because then we get all these combination tag team match moves. We have this in particular. We have a double shoulder tackle by Beth Phoenix and Natty, and then we have like a spinning power bomb by Natty in here, and then we have the Iconics because this is kind of like not like a comedy type of thing, but like I said, they're full of themselves, so they're a little cocky, and they decided to do their little iconic pose while they have some time. And this match pretty much ends after a few little bumps and bruises. Here, Beth Phoenix has, I believe, Bailey on the corner and on the turnbuckle about to do her glam slam. And she hits it, but Peyton Royce actually goes up and touches Beth Phoenix for the blind tag. Beth Phoenix is not aware of it. The Iconics take her out, and the Iconics are the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
Go on, ladies.
And like you mentioned, I'm not the only one that was happy about this. It gets a huge ovation and pop from the crowd. And for this, do you feel like this is a match people should go back and rewatch?
I would say that it's iconic. Revisit it. Why not? Like we just said, it's one of the first types of matches of its kind for the women. Again, part of this overall WrestleMania 35 that I enjoyed. For me, it's a revisit. For you, it's probably not a revisit.
For me, it's a revisit for a newer fan.
Okay.
Because it's a very simple match with clear psychology. You know who the heel is. You know who the face is. There's no confusion or anything about that. This match, you had two heel teams, Tamina and Nia, and the Iconics, because they get the cheap win. They're technically a heel. And then you have the two face teams, the Boss and Hug Connection, and Natty and Beth Phoenix. So, I mean, it's a very simple match for someone who's looking to get into wrestling, who wants to understand like tag team wrestling is in particular, because a four-way match can be sometimes very difficult to pull off. You have to have a little bit of balance to it, and you don't get any balance here. Like if you're like nitpicking at this for a professional, like a veteran's point of take, because as much as you get three of these teams in there, like the ones I mentioned, Boston Hug, Iconics, and Natty, and you don't get a lot of work from Naya and Tamina after like the 5th or 6th minute mark. They like completely disappear. And like
they should call us Boss and Hug.
Which one's the boss? You?
You'd be the boss. I'd be the hug.
Okay. And with that, I just recommend that if you're a newer fan and you're wanting to get into, into watching wrestling, and you've already watched what we've already recommended up to this point, and you wanted one more thing,
watch it. You'll love it.
Yeah, I think you will watch it. Especially, I think you should watch it, and I think you will enjoy it. Especially Iconics. To me, I'm for some reason like a big fan of like the cheesy heel, or like the little like cocky heels. Like my favorite tag team right now is Pretty Deadly, and they're kind of like the mold of what Pretty Deadly is now. And I don't know what it is. I just,
it's fun.
It's fun to me. So I recommend you watch it. So
it's fun not to be serious all the time.
Yeah.
So with that takes us to match number 6, WWE Championship, Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. One of my favorite matches of this WrestleMania 35. Kofi Kingston being honored was amazing. I thought it was great.
Yeah, so Kofi Kingston, KofiMania, the whole storyline here of Kofi's journey to get a WWE Championship match. Daniel Bryan had his gimmick belt, which is supposedly made of hemp and wood and other recycled materials along with stones. This was Daniel Bryan's heel run, quote unquote. And what did you think? Because it's like two different like characters here. You have the heel, and then you have like the poppy, bright colored, enthusiastic, energetic Kofi Kingston.
Well, he's an excellent wrestler. He's an outstanding wrestler. Both of these gentlemen are outstanding wrestlers, but this is Kofi's night, and I'm glad that he was honored. The ultimate, people would say, an underdog. I'm always rooting for an underdog. The eco-friendly heel, like you were talking about, this match is 11 years in the making.
For Kofi.
Yeah.
Because Kofi's always been part of a tag team. I believe he was a tag team champion, obviously, with the New Day, but before that,
which is like one of the
U.S. Championship.
Most iconic,
their wrestling. Stables. Yeah, the stable had lasted for
they're
a very long
charismatic. Like all the things. Kofi's victory had me crying. Many people in the audience were shedding tears, just like I was watching the end of The Lion King or something like that. I was all misty-eyed. I like the tribute to him. I like the wrestling, and it's a revisit for me. You can see Big E in the background, his facial expressions, very charismatic again. I like the trio. I like seeing him wrestling on his own. And again, against a really good wrestler, really great wrestler.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, you recommend both. Yeah. You definitely recommend this.
I recommend
match.
You revisit. Yeah. Revisit. Do yourself a favor and watch this.
Yeah. This match, like I mentioned with the previous one, is pretty obvious whether if you're a new fan, who the heel is, who the face is. This match is it has great storytelling, and you get a lot of like ebbs and flows. Like every time you think Kofi's in control, like in this particular spot, and then he's taking it to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ends up getting control of it, whether it's this, whether he's doing those kicks to Kofi while holding his arms. And the announcers do a great job too in painting that picture because they're always talking about how Daniel Bryan is a B player. He's a B player. He doesn't need to be here. I mean, Kofi Kingston is a B player
Oh wow.
that he doesn't need to be here. So this was like some good technical wrestling. Everything was, top notch. Daniel Bryan is doing great work, focusing on Kofi Kingston's leg, and he needed to um, have some type of advantage to it because Kofi obviously is very faster. So you want to slow him down if you're thinking about the psychology of this match. So it ends up that it was all for naught because Kofi Kingston finds a way, and as the two other times that Daniel Bryan avoided trouble in paradise, the third time's a charm. Kofi Kingston hits it, and we have a new WWE SmackDown champion, and KofiMania is running wild.
One of the emotional highlights of the night.
Yeah, and why I recommend that whether you're a new fan or a seasoned veteran myself, if you, especially now, if you're getting back into wrestling and you've been out of it for a while, it's different now. Like here we are in 2025, and now Kofi Kingston is now a heel. So just to see like the juxtaposition of where he was and how he gets there, I think if you go back and see this, it makes you more invested because right now, if you're coming into watching wrestling, you're like, man, Kofi Kingston is just like a prick right now, because what he did it, and it kind of sells you more. It makes that whole turn that Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston had on Big E. It hits a little bit more because if you see, like my wife mentioned, the reactions of Big E rooting him on, Xavier Woods is rooting him on, you would be able to see what Kofi Kingston is saying. Even though it's all a work, it's all kayfabe. Kofi Kingston's character is saying, "Hey, you were there for me, thank you, but you got hurt, and I still needed you, and you still weren't here for me." And they had that whole turn where it's like, "We needed you. These people came back in this less amount of time."
You had wrestlers in the back watching this as well, right?
Oh yeah, they're really selling you like this is the underdog story. This is what we want. We and like everyone was there watching it, whether if you were the Usos who end up making the thing appearance near the end of the match when they're showing the people backstage. You had Nikki Cross, you had Kalisto, you had Sin Cara, or all these other wrestlers that probably just got like a quick WrestleMania payday just for being shown on TV.
Right.
But I can't
That was cool.
Yeah,
it was
very great match, and I can't recommend this is one of my favorite WrestleMania matches to date right now, besides the Daniel Bryan match that when we had the Yes movement, when Daniel ended up having to win 2 matches. And it's very funny that Daniel Bryan is the one to give someone else their WrestleMania moment after he had to earn his WrestleMania moment with the crowd as well. So I found that was very satisfying. And with that,
it takes us to match number 7.
Yeah, and match number 7 had these particular highlights.
The United States Championship, Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio.
And that match goes for 58 seconds.
Yeah.
So Samoa Joe is out here.
He's 6'2", y'all.
Yeah. So
and Rey Mysterio is 5'6". Rey Mysterio is
very generous 5'6". So this is the highlight of Rey Mysterio in his awesome WrestleMania costume.
You say awesome. I say Mysterio. That he reminds me of who's that character from The Boys?
Oh, the Deep?
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah. But he's missing his cape, and it was purple, and it was meant to be
no, he does look
portraying
cool.
the Mysterio Marvel villain.
You're never gonna see me hate on the Master of the 619.
Yeah. So
the only hate that I have is that this match is too short.
Yeah, Joe comes out and he's dominating Rey, but Rey gets a little bit of a jump on him, and performs the 619. He gets up to do the frog splash, but Joe ends up catching him, puts him in the coquina clutch, and it's over.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned that this match was a little bit short on here,
Mhm.
and I believe it could have been because Rey Mysterio had an ankle injury or knee
Okay,
injury,
that makes sense.
so they really couldn't do much in particular. But I think Vince should have made like some type of call and be like, "Hey, you can't go." They always have that out that the card is subject to change. So if the card is always subject to change, no one's out there expecting Rey Mysterio and Samoa Joe to officially be out there. If Rey can't go, just make the judgment call and be like, you know what? Let's just get this out of here. We'll have a match when Rey gets hurt, or we can have a segment where Samoa Joe attacks Rey Mysterio in the back, and that's why the match never happens.
So this match is short. Obviously it's not a revisit for me. It's so quick. What do you think?
Yeah, skip it.
You're like, skip it?
Like, we've already talked as much as that match lasted. So
But we probably talked longer than that match lasted. So with that takes us to match number 8.
yeah, and that has the return
Roman Reigns.
of Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
In October 2018, he had
Versus
to
Drew.
leave in-ring competition because he was diagnosed with his leukemia returning back into his system.
So the big dog faces the Scottish psychopath.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre. And I believe this is Drew McIntyre's return into the company after being away here. If it's not, yeah, as he just returned back, he's done his whole thing in TNA and Evolve and all PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Like, he's been reforming his character. He's back. He's back as a Scottish psychopath, and Roman Reigns is back. And these guys are still going at it to this day. And what did you think? I know you are a big fan of Roman Reigns, and you are a fan of the Scottish psychopath.
He's growing on me.
Who's growing on you?
Drew. So I will say that I think this match is worth revisiting for nostalgia. As far as Roman re-entering back into wrestling, the match is solid. We get a good spear from Roman, but it wasn't that exciting for me. What do you think about it?
I think this is just like an A, B, C, D. It's a very simple match. You have Roman Reigns coming back. Like, if you're a newcomer, you won't get lost. There's no like twisting psychology. Is he a heel? Is he a face? What's happening here? You're gonna be able to follow it very, very easily. But it like nothing out of the ordinary. You know, like, you have Roman Reigns. He already starts getting dominated when he comes back by Drew McIntyre, who's saying that this is his yard now,
Right.
and it's selling you that that Roman Reigns is the underdog. He's been away too long. He's not gonna come back, or is he gonna come back? Because then we start Roman Reigns getting that comeback. Is the big dog back? He eventually starts, taking it to Drew on the outside. We get the Superman punch towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
We get a spear, and then we get 1, 2, 3 pin and win for Roman Reigns. So I think it's just a good reintroduction for people who have not seen Roman Reigns
Right.
for the past 6 months, or who may. WrestleMania always gets new people watching.
Also, he's huge. It's
Roman Reigns.
2024, 2020. Well, they're both huge, right?
Right.
They're both part of that like amazing character. Like, they're larger than life personalities right now at WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do like is that he's being welcomed back. He's being reintroduced to us through a WrestleMania, and that's why I like this WrestleMania 35. It's just more of that good WrestleMania 35, good stuff that's going on. Welcome backs, and we had a few goodbyes.
Okay. As for me, I would say just skip it. because there isn't anything else besides, like we mentioned, it's like more of a reintroduction. If anything, this just helps paint that Scottish psychopath for Drew McIntyre, because we needed like a new coat of paint on him, and he went to go get it, but now Vince needed to reinforce it that he is a force to be reckoned with, and that's why we end up getting that Drew McIntyre title run a little bit later on in the season, or
So with
in
that,
the years.
we take you to match number 9, a match so exciting.
Wait,
what?
But you forgot about the hello. His name is Elias, and he wants to know if you want to walk with Elias.
I hate this.
So Elias is coming out here for the second year in a row, trying to give us a concert.
Oh, I forgot about Elias and John Cena.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
But then you had after a little bit of a trailer about the Cubs and the New York Yankees and someone calling their shot.
You can't see me.
Yeah. Now I want to know, because
Or
this
you
guy is
can't see
from
him.
Newbury, Massachusetts.
Oh, him?
Yes, John Cena. If you are someone from Massachusetts and you're watching this show, first of all, thank you very much. And don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
But are you upset as a fan of being from Massachusetts? Are you upset that John Cena is rocking a Yankees jersey instead of a Boston Red Sox jersey?
Okay, that makes sense. Why is that? Do you know?
I'm assuming he's a Yankees fan. I have not looked into it. I just noticed it, and then I should have asked Doyle.
Yeah,
Doyle might have known. Doyle from a friend of the podcast from Podcast Championship Wrestling.
Yes.
So eventually, John Cena goes out there. He throws a couple of bars out there.
This is his retirement.
No, it's not his retirement.
What is this for him?
This is just him making an appearance.
Oh, I thought this was something special.
No, it's special because we haven't seen John Cena since the last year.
Wait, what is special about this? This is not a match, right? It's not a match.
It's just like a vignette.
Squabble?
Yeah.
Squabble up. Okay, so he's reintroducing his original character, the
Doctor of Thugonomics.
Word
life.
So we all had to witness this again.
Yeah.
But I will say, to his credit, I believe as a child, he talks about getting picked on, and then hip hop
being his outlet.
So I appreciate that. So you do you, boo.
Yeah. So he ends up getting the FU, not the attitude adjustment, the FU and the 5-knuckle shuffle, and John Cena is out after he pumps up his Reeboks.
I like that he pumps up his kicks.
Yeah, so what did you think about this? Would you recommend anyone to go back and rewatch Doctor of Thugonomics?
If you were out there pumping up your kicks, let us know. I'm very curious to know if you were out there about to play basketball and you started pumping up your kicks. Does it work?
Yeah.
Did that work for you?
I don't know. I never owned a pair of Reeboks.
Neither did I. I'm so curious. Let us know. Yeah, I'd say skip it. I appreciate John Cena. I'm a big fan of all forms of Cena. But yeah, this is not it. Also, I do not care for Elias and his guitar and sitting through him playing for such a long time. Don't waste my time. Show me the wrestling. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And with that, we'll move on to the next match of the card. Now we'll go ahead and continue with whatever you had prepared.
So now we're talking about match 9.
Right.
No holds barred.
Uh-huh.
Triple H versus Batista. You will hear this probably the first time for me, that this is one of my favorite Triple H matches. Maybe the second time you've heard this from me. This is one of my favorite matches of this WrestleMania 35. I will say you should revisit it. I like Hunter's introduction to this. I like even more that Hunter and Batista's images were on the Empire State Building. If you're from New York and you hated it, let us know. Drop a comment. But I think it's iconic. Like, you know, you've arrived when you see yourself hundreds and hundreds of feet, or maybe you've not arrived because they've shown some other people and not so great light being displayed on buildings. But anyway, for the purpose of this podcast, I think it's pretty awesome that they were in the Empire State Building. You're going to WrestleMania 35. You're walking around the city. How cool is it for you to see that? I know that when we were at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia and we saw the WrestleMania flags here, there, everywhere, and on buildings, it was pretty cool. We stopped to take pictures. It felt pretty great. It's like the city's welcoming you. And I thought it was a good look for WWE. What do you think? I didn't even get into the match.
Yeah. My thing was this match is I didn't like that it's a no holds barred match. I understand why it's a no holds barred match because Hunter is putting his career on the line, you know? If he loses this match to Batista, he has to retire.
So, but this is a retirement match for Batista, right?
Right. And this is what I don't understand and I don't get even to this day. This whole promo leading up to this event, Batista comes back, he beats up Nature Boy because it's his 60th birthday, and he's like, "Hey, happy birthday! I'm gonna beat you up." But you know, Batista comes back, and all he's telling Hunter is, "Give me what I want. Give me what I want."
Okay.
And then he wanted this match. He wanted his last match.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he wanted.
Okay.
Like this, like it doesn't make any sense to me. Even to this day, I watched this. I watched the promos. I watched the match again, and like it doesn't sell it to me.
Wrestling like multiverses don't always make sense.
Exactly.
And I'm okay with that.
And that's probably why it appeals more to you. Like for me, as a longtime fan, like something was missing here. Like as far as the work that goes in here, like the match started with some brawling. Triple H pulls out Batista's nose ring. They both use weapons. There's a chain that Batista ends up using in between, like, for some reason there's a chain underneath the ring. Let me see if I can pull up this picture. I know I have it. Then Triple H gets it and like starts beating him.
So what you're saying is that this was off the chain?
And then we had that one shot of Batista being choked by the chain, but Batista's trying to still hold the chain because like I had to be choked by this. Like
the only thing that's offensive to me is Batista's little sun.
That tattoo has advanced. If you're talking about the one that is around his belly button, it was a little sun, and now it has like wings or something like that. I can't zoom in on it, guys. Crying. But look at, you see, it's there like yeah.
So the only thing that is offensive about this match is that tiny tattoo. Otherwise, if I'm Batista, and I'm retiring, I would love to have the Flair, as part of my going away, which he didn't do a lot. You know, he didn't do that much in it. Rick? He was just Rick. He was kind of just like there.
Yeah, Ric Flair just shows up at the end.
You know, so
he gives Triple H a sledgehammer because he lost the other sledgehammer.
But look, he's the dirtiest player in the game. So we can expect nothing less from Ric Flair during this match. But if I'm Batista and I'm going out, I'm going to wrestle against one of the longest time wrestlers, which is Hunter. How long has Hunter been wrestling at this point?
I think for 19 or 20 years.
19 to 20 years. Yeah. He's part of the McMahon family.
He married into the McMahon.
Well, McMahon. Yes, but he's part of the family. So I think it's a good look. It's a good move. I'm satisfied with this match as a mark in training. The wrestling was good to me. It was a little exciting, and it just made part of this WrestleMania 35. Like I said, overall, pretty interesting. So I'd say revisit.
Okay, so I was wrong with my math. He had been wrestling since 1992, so he'd been wrestling for 27 years. But yeah, as for me, like this match, unfortunately, like all the other Hunter matches, suffers of just being too long. I understand that you have to do the build up and you have to have the ebb and the flow. Like this match starts off with Hunter being dominated by Batista, like I showed, and and Hunter is fighting for Ric Flair's honor and his honor because he doesn't want to retire. But it just doesn't it just starts falling off after like Batista gets his nose ring pulled off. I think
Also
and
nose ring.
yeah, and which I'm still not certain that it was an actual
Maybe
real
I'm
and
not
not a
cool
clip
enough
on.
to wear
Yeah,
a nose ring.
so
no judgment.
And then the other thing that suffered from is like we all kind of knew that this was Batista's last match.
Right. I mean, at
So
this point,
we're not gonna be like
Batista of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, we
and
are.
that other random movie.
And then the one movie they're promoting during this WrestleMania, Stuber with Kumail Nanjiani,
which we have not watched, but we plan on watching.
No,
we
have watched it. Yeah, we watched,
have I watched it.
I think you might have fallen asleep on it.
I probably fell asleep during it.
It was an Amazon exclusive at the time, an Amazon Prime exclusive.
Well, Batista of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but because of it being rumored throughout the internet wrestling community that this was Batista's last match, now you lose that whole gimmick of who's gonna, if Hunter loses, he's gonna retire. Okay. Well, he's not gonna lose. I don't see, and I might have missed it. If you know anything else about it, because I don't see that there's a stipulation if Batista won. But if they had a stipulation like if Batista wins, he's now the authority of the WWE. You know how him and Stephanie are the authority.
That would have been fun.
That would have been something like have a stipulation for him. I did not see a stipulation. If you're watching this, and thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, but also drop a comment if you knew that Batista had a stipulation. Because I think if they would have added something to this where if Batista wins, he's now the Raw general manager, or now he's the authority.
Okay, so you would have liked this match to have been wrapped up. I'm fine with the match as is because I'm taking it for face value, which is and this is his last match. It's with Hunter. He's been wrestling for over 27 years, over 20 years with WWE. He is one of the faces of the company. You have a Flair as part of your exit. What a way to go out.
For Batista.
Yeah.
So
not like that Undertaker match where Undertaker lost. Yes, I'm still talking about this. Like 3 to 4 30? WrestleManias. Yeah, WrestleMania 30, where he lost to Brock Lesnar. It's fucking horrid.
So as for you, you are recommending this match for new and seasoned veterans?
Yes.
Okay.
But the Undertaker match with Brock Lesnar, I do not recommend. It was very disappointing to me in the crowd. So don't watch that shit.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I got it.
As for me, I do not recommend this match. I don't recommend any of because there's like 3 other matches. At this point in time, Hunter had a losing streak against Batista. He had not beaten them, but none of those matches are good either. But watch it if you want to see, like my wife mentioned, a good retirement match. But this isn't a classic. This goes on for way too long.
It's not a banger for you.
No, and it feels a little bit slow at times. And that's about it. So
damn.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay, so with that takes us to the next match.
Takes us to the next match, which is
not an acute angle, a Kurt Angle.
Yeah. Back-to-back retirement matches. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin.
So is Kurt Angle wrestling before this on a steady
No, he was not.
That's what I thought.
He had just done, remember, WrestleMania 34 with Ronda Rousey versus Triple H. Yeah. So we had that match. But this one was Baron Corbin going out there and challenging Kurt Angle
Right.
for this particular match. So this match goes for
You have to tell me
6
why.
minutes and 5 seconds. Go
Why
ahead.
is Kurt Angle's farewell match against Baron Corbin?
That's where I'm going to get into.
You had to explain this to me.
With this particular match, they had been doing this episode
Okay.
where Kurt Angle was gearing up for his farewell match. He was having these matches with people that he liked.
Mhm.
There was one with Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
And then for some reason, we had Baron Corbin chosen in the
Why?
March episode because it was Angle's like was gunning to get some type of retribution because he had been causing him he had been causing him too much trouble, and when Kurt Angle was the Raw general manager,
Mhm.
and to the point where Baron Corbin had taken his job, quote unquote.
Okay.
So Baron Corbin was the Raw general manager at one point. So it's just Vince believed that Baron Corbin had a look at that point in time, and then he needed a push, and this is what we got.
Sorry, sir. You were not the one. So, okay, I have my opinions about this match. What do you think about this match?
With this one, I am not gonna recommend this match because I know it's part of the business
Mm-hmm.
to go out on your back to get the other guy over. If you're someone of Kurt Angle's stature, if you're someone of Ric Flair's stature, Sting, even though Sting is the exception, because Sting, when he did his retirement match at AEW, he actually won. He won the tag team titles, and then they had a tournament for him.
Okay.
And that's one of the few times I think that, if you're someone like a Sting, which I feel Kurt Angle is,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not Ric Flair, because Ric Flair is a heel, and that kind of makes more sense that he should lose.
Right.
Kurt Angle does flip back and forth, but at this point, he's a baby face. Baron Corbin's the heel. So I feel like Kurt Angle should have won and still had this little retirement speech that he has at the end. Kurt Angle does what Kurt Angle does best in these particular matches. He does his over the head belly to belly suplex is real good.
Yeah.
He does his ankle lock very well. And I don't like the ending. It seemed like it was very predictable.
Nobody liked the ending. The audience
Well, I
was
mean,
not
like,
happy.
and particularly the way like Kurt Angle does the Olympic slam,
Mm-hmm.
and early in his career, he stopped it when he got older and went into TNA and things like
Right.
that. He used to do moonsault,
Mm-hmm.
but he would always miss it.
Okay.
So for him to be wrestling for 20 plus years, like, it doesn't make sense for him to do the Olympic slam, not go for a cover, and then try to do his moonsault, which ends up being his demise. Baron Corbin hits him with his finisher at the end of days, and that's how he ends up losing.
Right. Baron Corbin, I'm assuming this is his normal wrestling gear.
It's his normal wrestling gear because I don't think he still is, but he was the Raw general manager before he would come out looking like a biker, and he had long hair.
Okay.
And he was the lone wolf.
Yeah, I do not like this match. I celebrate Kurt Angle. He's an amazing wrestler. He is one of my favorite wrestlers. And we had the opportunity to meet him in 2024, which was really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
He was very nice. But this match was the worst for me as an exit and a goodbye to Kurt Angle. I think he deserved more. I get the whole passing it on to another generation. I get that. But Baron Corbin was not the personality for me. This was like ending The Godfather with like a fart joke. Kurt did his best, and Corbin winning felt like, I don't know, kind of like a slap in the face. So when I saw the audience, of course, was crying. I was, emotional. This is Kurt's final wrestling match, and to go out like that was a lot. It was kind of unfortunate. So
No.
this is the only thing I do not like about this WrestleMania 35. Well, I don't like a few other things, but when I say this, he should have had somebody else on, like,
Someone else to face. His opponent should have been someone else.
it should have been somebody else
Now,
of his caliber of wrestling.
well, here's the thing I'm going to bring
And
up
of
to.
his height too, because the other guy was 6'8" and
Yeah.
he's 6'0". So I think they should have had somebody around similar heights, because it seemed like the wrestling was a little odd in that way as well. That other guy is all legs and arms.
All right.
Yeah.
So the rumor had been that people would want to see John Cena versus Kurt Angle.
Okay.
Would you have been excited for that?
I think that would have been an odd mashup as well.
All right. Of the people on the WrestleMania card that we have here, you don't have to look back. We had Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. Would you have preferred a retirement match with Rollins or Lesnar?
With Rollins or Lesnar?
Yeah, Angle with Rollins or Lesnar?
No, I actually would say that he'd be on par with like Daniel Bryan.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So, and again, I love that Kofi match. Great. But I think that would have been a good matchup for his retirement match.
Okay. Yeah. I think the only other one that I probably would have taken from here, if they would have to have a retirement match, and I think unfortunately because of Batista wanting his retirement match then, I would have wanted Hunter.
Okay.
And the reason why I would have wanted Hunter to have that match is because it would have continued the story from WrestleMania 34. Thank you. So with that, we move on.
Our what ifs.
Yeah. And that was the what if we can go.
The what if portion of this
podcast.
So
with this, we move on to the Finn Balor, the Demon Form versus Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. And this match, it goes for nothing. Okay, I thought you had that ready. This match.
I'm like, what? Wait, I think I'm missing a match.
4 minutes and 7 seconds. So 4 minutes and 7 seconds for the Intercontinental Championship.
You're going to refresh me with photos. Go on, tell me more.
I will refresh your memory because I remember you being very upset at this matchup because we had Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley.
Okay.
And we had Finn Balor coming out with his demon form, which is supposed to be more of an aggressive and dominant version of himself.
First of all, Bobby Lashley, one of my favorite ladder match participants. The man can wrestle. Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, I thought you had more.
That's all I got right
now.
Okay.
So, yeah, Bobby Lashley, he's not an okay talker, and that's why he's paired up with Lio Rush, who is a very good talker. So, it's very interesting that we had these two paired up together. And Lio Rush is also a very great acrobatic and technical wrestler as well on his own, right? But I love the pairing when it first came around, So we had Bobby Lashley trying to start off hot here and hitting him with the clothesline. Here we have him doing a suplex to him, but Balor eventually ends up. Balor's the one that starts up aggressively, and he sends out Lashley out of the ring, and then Lashley ends up getting control after the hot start from him. Balor doing his patented marquee moves. We get his double drop kick. We get a sling blade. He does a power bomb on him, which was kind of like, oh, okay moment. Like, oh, not only does Finn Balor have the quickness, but he has a little bit of power to him. Eventually, Balor ends up hitting his coup de grace, which is the double stomp, and the demon Finn Balor ends up defeating Bobby Lashley and is the new Intercontinental Champion. Was that a good refresher for you? Or
It was a
okay.
really good refresher, so thank you for that. I didn't like this match.
All right, let's find out.
I'm a fan of Bobby Lashley, so I thought he should have won.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Sorry, Finn.
All right. So this match didn't have enough time to build for me, and which is why I'm not recommending it. Like I just told you, this match is 4 minutes long, and this is supposed to be for like the mid card championship, one of the mid cards, because we have the United States Championship as another one, which also got like a very short run of a title run too, like match. So with that, don't recommend it. I feel like this did not help Bobby Lashley at all because eventually he starts like a little bit of a decline and doesn't really come into the forte of anything else meaningful until maybe 2020, 2021. So
okay. So skip it. And it's a pass for me. So with that, we take you to one of the best matches, in my opinion, of the night.
And which match is that?
This match is the main event. Winner takes all. Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky, the man, Lynch.
All right. And that match goes for 20 minutes and 30 seconds.
So what did you think about this match? I know what I think. I enjoyed it. I thought all the ladies of this match looked great. Their wrestling gear was awesome. I enjoyed Charlotte Flair's intro where she comes out in a helicopter. Mm-hmm. She went from wearing a leather jacket to her robe.
The Flair robe.
The Flair robe. I'm a fan of a Flair. So she's a strong lady. I enjoy seeing all these ladies wrestle.
All right. For me, like this match, you kind of had two heels and the one face. The two heels being Ronda, which Ronda is very vocal in this match. There's a lot of BITCHs being thrown around,
which I think is unnecessary.
And Charlotte Flair just does it in the ring, like match psychology wise. And Becky, in 2018, she was wronged by Charlotte Flair when Charlotte beat her for the Women's SmackDown Championship. And she's trying to get her belt back. That's always been the chase there. But we also have Becky Lynch was in the Royal Rumble of the 2019 earlier that year, and she ended up winning. So Becky Lynch ended up choosing her, and they ended up throwing down Charlotte in there too. So this match started with a brawl between Lynch and Rousey, and then Rousey ends up getting both opponents out of the ring, and then we get these women pushing it to the limit, showing why they should be why they deserve to be not only part of WrestleMania, but the main event of WrestleMania. And they did not disappoint with spots like this. Ronda Rousey ends up taking a lot of bumps and bruises, and it shows on one of her calves later that night. Charlotte Flair also ends up getting some color, which is a term when they cut themselves, and there's blood spewing out of her forearm or her elbow later on that match. But there's a lot of fun spots here. There's this point where Charlotte hits her double natural selection, which is kind of like where Charlotte flips and like there's like a front facing DDT type of thing. I like this little combination here where Charlotte has Ronda in like a Boston Crab, and Becky just comes out of nowhere and hits her with that bulldog. I want to point this out because Ronda, when she's climbing up these top ropes to do this splash, looks scared as F when she's about to dismount on here. And if she eventually got over it and pulled it off, but there's a lot of spots here. You see these women are taking chances, and eventually Becky ends up beating both of them here by countering Ronda Rousey's swing and miss and pinning her for the 1-2-3 victory. And Becky Two Belts is born. So you recommend people go back and watch this match, babe?
I do. I thought it was sometimes with the WrestleMania main event, you have a little sigh at the end because you've been watching wrestling for this many hours, and then the main event isn't always a banger, isn't the one, and you're just kind of like, all right, time to go home. But this one, I feel like the audience got picked up, and everyone enjoyed this match. I did, and it was really good. I'd say watch it. Do yourself a favor. Everyone looks great. Everyone can go in this match.
Even Ronda.
Ronda, yeah, you can see from that last WrestleMania where she was a little tough and a little rough. I mean, she was an MMA fighter, so I get it. But when it comes to wrestling, you really got to protect yourself. So you make sure that you're able to have that longevity and keep on taking those hits and bumps. So she was a little bit more polished with her wrestling this time around, and I definitely recommend that you watch this match. That's what I got.
All right. Yeah, for me, this was a very good storytelling match. Mm-hmm. It was a good pace. The only thing that I feel that people might be looking at if you're watching this back again is that Ronda's shoulders aren't really down all the way.
I heard about that.
It like she actually had it, and maybe this match was supposed to go a little bit longer, but how it finished, where it finished, out of nowhere, I think did a great job because it didn't end with like Becky Lynch doing her one of her finishers, whether it's the submission move, disarm her, or whether it's her, I forget what it is, like a rock bottom, but she calls it something else. So it didn't end like that. It would just pop all of a sudden, which is a good thing when it comes to a triple threat match. Not everything has to end with the finisher, and if it doesn't with the finisher, sometimes it's a little bit obvious.
Right.
When you get something like a roll up or something simple.
Disarm her?
Disarm her.
Oh, shit. Disarm her?
Yeah. Is their submission move. But yeah.
I need my reading glasses.
When it ends out of nowhere, where you don't expect it, that's when sometimes magic happens, because you get a very authentic reception to that finish from the crowd. And as we got to see, there was lots of people who were happy that this match was not only over because it's already past midnight local time, but that it was Becky Lynch that ended up winning. It culminated two storylines. Two goals get accomplished in one particular match. So it's worth rewatching, whether you're a seasoned fan, like a longtime veteran, longtime fan like myself, or a newcomer, because it has very great significant historic significance. The first women's WrestleMania main event. It has very strong storytelling, even though there's, like I mentioned, two heels and one face. And the finish, even though it's a little bit controversial for some people, it was very simple and clean. And this is something that I absolutely recommend that people rewatch, whether you're a fan or a longtime vet, because it gives you a great introduction to women who are still wrestling. If you're a newer fan, which is Charlotte Flair, who's going to be making her return at the Royal Rumble, and to Becky Lynch if she decides to come back and be a surprise entrance to the 2025 Royal Rumble.
Oh. So wrapping up WrestleMania 35, opinions, comments?
I think overall, this was an okay WrestleMania. This had two retirement matches, and this had two no holds barred count out, gimmick matches is what we call them sometimes. And then you had like two 4-way matches. So obviously Vince knows he has a talent to showcase, but he hasn't found the right way to balance it. And maybe that's why we end up from this point forward. I hate to break it to you, but now we start getting WrestleManias that are 2 days.
Yeah, you told me. I've been warned.
So
We participated in one
we
WrestleMania 40.
participated
That
in
was a
one, but
2-day event.
now we're
Birthday was
getting it,
cold.
and
Crazy.
now we still get a couple of them, but we won't get as many 4-ways, 3-ways, and things like that. So other than that, like, this is a WrestleMania where you could just watch a few of the matches, and one of the matches I recommended, for sure, you want to watch the main event, the women's 3-way winner takes all, and KofiMania. If you have time, if you want to do
Who
something
did we
like
see in
that.
the audience for this WrestleMania? Did we see Fluffy?
No, Fluffy was Saturday night's main event that we saw last night. So,
but did we see The Rock's mother as
Ata was in the audience.
Ata?
I could not get a, but she was on one of the turnbuckle sides. She wasn't behind the announcers, how sometimes she is. But The Rock's mom was in attendance. She was probably in attendance to see Tamina and Nia Jax wrestle.
Yeah, so WrestleMania 35. My wrap up is that it gave me all the feels, like you said. We had 2 people retiring, Batista and Kurt Angle. We had Kofi's triumph from KofiMania, and the fans loved it. Shane McMahon's ongoing quest to break every bone in his body, whether it's like a coast to coast or he's flying off of something super high. It was long. It was messy. It had enough memorable moments to make it worth staying up past your bedtime. And I recommend it. Maybe, I'd like to say let's keep it under 12 hours. But like you said, now this is a 2-day event. So, yep.
So do you recommend people to watch the whole event of WrestleMania, or just the few matches you recommended?
If you have the time, watch this WrestleMania 35. Otherwise, just watch a few that we shouted out that are really worth watching. If you have limited time or you're on your lunch, do a skip to the good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's
it. Thank you very much for joining us. If you watch and you made it this far, thank you again for joining us in this WrestleMania 35 revisit.
Yes.
We are going to be working on doing a WrestleMania 36 revisit, but we have no fixed date, but it will be happening in February. Yes. Whether it happens February the 22nd, or I think February 22nd might be the date.
Is what you're shooting for?
Yeah.
Okay.
February 22nd. Put it in your calendar, if not the 23rd. But we hope to get that out to you soon. If you have any tidbits, any information, any memories, anything you want to share about this WrestleMania event, or if you have any recommendations of matches or events that you want my wife Maria to watch, please drop it in the comments or send us an email to revisitingmania@gmail.com. If you want to connect with us on social media, sometimes we do, when we get a chance, post our thoughts live about a Raw, a SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, or the Saturday night's main event when we are not busy being parents. So find us all at Revisiting Mania, whether it's Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, and that other one that someone else owns that we try not to say, and Threads.
And in a world where it's easy to be mean, not mine, you're mine, but in a world where it's easy to be mean, try to be kind. That's all I got.
All right.
Till next time.
Deuces.
Deuces.